Welcome back, guys, to Unfiltered Convos, and we will be recapping Vanderpump Rules Reunion Part 1. And I don't know, what were your thoughts on the reunion? For me, did we learn anything? Not really. Um, it was to me more of a catch up that we were just caught up where everybody is at in life. We saw where the cast arrived, but before we actually dive into the recap, please remember, guys, to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And let's get into the recap. Now, for me, this reunion, as I said, it's a part one reunion, so there was not much really exciting that happened in the first part of the reunion, and we know we have three parts. Now, we got into basically where the hot topic was, is Ariana still living in the house? We know that Ariana purchased a new home, and we found out where, I guess at the time when they filmed the reunion, she did not purchase the houses yet. So we found out that she says that she stays in an Airbnb, and also she lives in New York because her boyfriend Dan lives in New York as well. Now, she can't speak on the status of the house because it's a legal issue, neither can Sandoval. And also, when she said she couldn't speak on it, does the camera pan into Lala's face? I think Lala is just fueled with hatred and jealousy, and it's really showing. And for someone to be pregnant and you're still holding on with so much hatred and anger and jealousy is just ridiculous to me at this point. The next thing we got into where we saw where she also, they asked Schwartz as well what was, because he stated in the season that he was planning to move in with Sandoval, but right now he says that the money really can't be, they're more looking if they could purchase a place together, which to me, again, I don't think this is a good idea. You would have think that he would have learned anything from what went down with Scandival, where the both of them have a business, and because of his foolish action, he basically almost lose their business. Because remember, they had a lot of reviews being left on their restaurants, negative reviews and stuff. So why would you want to go purchase a house with someone where he clearly has not grown, he clearly has not learned anything? I know you want to live in a household with him where, God forbid, he does something foolish again, and then it's like you're now stuck in an Ariana situation where you're trying to get yourself out of, which, why would you want to be so tangled up? But again, it's Schwartz. He clearly is not going to leave Sandoval's side, so maybe realistically he does not care about if anything happen again. Now, the next thing is we got into where they were asking about, that who they were happy that everybody came back. Of course, we know Rachel did not come back. And this is where we got Sandoval saying that, Rachel was a coward because she says that she doesn't necessarily want anything to do with the show, and she keeps on talking about everybody. And this is something that I think the general public has shared as well. You did your podcast with Bethany, which was jaw-dropping because you stated some stuff in this podcast that you weren't friends with them. They were your co-workers, and pretty much Sandoval, quote-unquote, groomed you. So you did all of this, and in the ending of that podcast, my recollection is you basically said that you are starting a new podcast where you'll be speaking about mental health, etc. Now, I'm assuming I haven't listened to this podcast, but from my knowledge of what I'm hearing, you maybe started off the podcast speaking about this, but clearly no one cared or wanted to listen to that. So all of a sudden, every week, it's about you practically recapping Vanderpump Rules and then posting clips on your social media with edits from the previous night episode. So it's kind of ridiculous. And if this is what you wrote, you wanted to go down. I know you were still in negotiation and coming back because you wanted more money, but they weren't going to pay you more money for what? So I don't know if you should have just came back, just take the money, whatever they were planning to give you. I'm pretty sure they were going to give you a bit more than what you were making previous season, because obviously this season would have been highlighted around the three of y'all. So I think you should have just taken the money and just went on and share or let your voice be heard, whether if it's being chopped and screwed by the producers, but at least let your voice be heard, and then you'll have the opportunity of being on a reunion where you can also share your behavior. But the fact of you going on your podcast and saying all of these stuff, like, yeah, that's giving me coward move. No, the next thing we saw as well is where I think it's when Andy asked Lala and Sheena in regards like if she was supposed to come back and whatever the situation is, and this is where we got Lala saying that time heals, and if she was supposed to come back, more likely she will have a productive conversation with Rachel, and she does not feel bad about how she performed or spoke to her at the previous reunion. And we also had Ariana said that she stood up to her perpetrators, so she does not feel any way of how she spoke with her. And it's good that Lala doesn't like she's because the way how she behaved this season, you'd have thought that how she basically acted at the previous reunion, she regrets it. But it's good that she said she does not regret it, because we saw at the top of the first season of 11 where she was calling Rachel asking her to come back or some foolishness like that. So it's good the fact that she doesn't regret her performance, but at the same time it's like, yeah. And for me, again, the vibe that I got out of this reunion, and I believe this was shot this year, and the season ended probably stopped filming sometime September last year. I got that Sheena and sometimes Lala, like they were more trying to hold Sandoval finally accountable for stuff, and they were now understanding or on the side of Ariana. Because we had Sheena chiming in a lot in defense to Ariana. We also had her letting Sandoval know about whatever it is and letting him know that there's no buts, like it ends right here. So to me, I got like, no is when you feel like you want to be a friend and you want to chime in. We just saw you at the ending of the last season on the finale basically agreeing with Lala about how Ariana is operating and the fact that she doesn't want to film with Sandoval. So it's so funny to me that you're on the reunion and now all of a sudden it's like you're more being Ariana's defense, but a little too late, because again, I don't get authenticity from Sheena nor Lala anymore on this show, because it's like you guys are just trying to save your tickets, or yeah, save your meal ticket pretty much, because you don't guys move anyway. You guys do everything in the good interest of the show, and I don't see why it's a reality TV show if you're just playing it up for the cameras. Like, I don't watch reality TV to see you put on a character and you're doing all of this for entertainment purposes or just doing it for a show. Like your life, if you signed up for me, if you sign up for reality TV, your life should be interesting enough to entertain others. It shouldn't mean that you're getting up, putting on a character or doing stuff out of your normal behavior just to give entertainment to an audience. Because at some point, I believe you guys morph into this character that you bring on to this show, and I think that's what's the problem, and hence why you guys are probably on a pause, because you guys have nothing going on in your life. The producers and the production team knows that there's nothing going on in your life, so guess what, they have to give you guys some time to develop something in your life, so there's something worth talking about for the next season if you guys do get a next season. We saw where Lala got triggered regarding the groom comments, because Sandoval was explaining the word groom and Lala got triggered. And for me, I got Lala again projecting, because what I get from her is that she's now basically trying to say Randall groomed her, and she was young when they met and she was impressionable, so she's kind of now trying to tie that thing and make that her thing. And that's why I think she was so passionate about it. I don't think she really is disturbed by what Sandoval was saying. I just think that she now wants to use that wording, or she has probably used that wording when it came on to her and Randall. So she does not want that definition because it doesn't match her definition of what she wants to explain or to say about the situation regarding her and Randall. We then got into Brock discussing his kids. We got a little bit more because persons were still confused as to why he has still not seen his kids. He said that he has started paying his child support from, I believe, 2018, 2019. And he is caught up on his child support, but apparently the kids who are older don't want to have a relationship at this point with him. So even when he's even visiting or anything like that, they don't want to see him. And I think as well the mother probably is also telling the kids stuff or whatever. So they don't want nothing to do with him. And this is where we got where he basically is, there's no relationship basically. So hopefully this will not necessarily put a close on it, but it will give hopefully the audience some sort of understanding as to why. And you guys have to understand, like, if the kids don't want anything to do with him, there's nothing much he can do. He can't show up at the house and force them to come outside. He can't book them a ticket and tell them, you gotta come here because I'm your father. Because realistically, he wasn't really a father to them. So if they don't want anything to do with him or want to have a relationship right now with him, you can't necessarily fault Brock for something that the kids are doing. And if they are primarily staying with the mom, if again she doesn't want the kids to see him, there's nothing more he can do. The only good thing is, thankfully, he is actually paying his child support, so at least he's caught up right there. The next thing we got into, we saw where they asked Sandoval about his suicidal thoughts that he was having, and we got where Sheena says that she has lost a friend to suicide, and she necessarily does not. She was not supportive of that friend when that happened. So she didn't want to basically the same situation happening again. And because of so much hatred for him, she does not support him or anything. But we saw where also Lala said that she would feel messed up in herself to know that she ignored those red flags or ignored that and continued to do whatever she was doing. And then, God forbid, something happened and whatever. But the question I was looking for or suggestion is, no one asked Sandoval, have you gone seeking help about these thoughts? It's just like brushed under the rug. Okay, you had these thoughts, and how are others persons treating you since they found out you have these thoughts? Like, is no one asking him if he's going to a therapist about these thoughts? Like, has anybody recommended him to go to speak to someone? It's just more about, is everybody going easy on you because they found out that you have these thoughts? Then we got into the major part of this reunion, which is the ending, which I'm assuming next week episode seems like it's going to be very interesting because we had Ariana letting Lala know that because she speaks loud, she always thinks she's right. But we then got into where we saw Katie and Lala. And they have been back and forth this season, and we got some more understanding as to why Lala has been operating somewhat how she has, because she says that she and Katie had personal conversations off camera, and her disregard to Ariana doing Broadway, and it's hindering the opening of their sandwich shop. And she is saying that what Katie is showing on camera was not what was being told off camera. And what I get from it is Lala is not a friend that you need to tell your secrets to, because clearly when it's Mad Day, she's going to let all those secrets out just to make herself look better. So, Katie, I hope you learn from this. Don't tell Lala shit. It's good that Katie says she and Ariana have spoken about this, so I don't see what Lala is trying. I think she's just jealous of the friendship of the both of them, and I think she's trying to create a wedge between the two of them. And the fact that Ariana and Katie have spoken about this just makes it more foolish for Lala, because I see where she's trying to really turn now everybody against Ariana. And the fact that they have spoken and they're clearly okay. So it's like, yeah, your plan of maybe using the reunion as your way to turn persons now against Ariana, and it's like this gang up on Ariana, did not really go as planned. So yeah, but they pretty much argue off into part two. We will see what part two brings when it comes on to the argument. I saw a sneak peek, which pretty much did not go anywhere, because we saw where Katie was like, she's not going to sit here and have someone tell her how she should feel, etc. So that was literally the reunion. As I said, it felt more like a catching up with everyone. We didn't really get into much. It was just more like life updates, really. But we'll see what part 2 brings next week. Let me know, guys, in the comment section what were your thoughts on the reunion. And please remember, guys, to subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next week in the next recap. Bye, y'all.